The sky above planet Yuntal was covered with dark green clouds. Strange birds flew in circles, making loud, clicking sounds. The air was thick, hot, and smelled like old mushrooms. Rill, a young human engineer, wiped sweat from his forehead and looked around with curiosity. "This place stinks," Mina said sharply, pulling her scanner from her belt. "It's not that bad," Rill replied, kneeling beside a glowing blue flower. "You just need to get used to it." Mina gave him a look. "We're not here to enjoy flowers. Find the crystal and let's get out." They had landed on Yuntal to find a rare communication crystal buried deep in an old alien ruin. The ruin was near a strange area known as the Garden of Rot. Local guides had warned them not to go near it, especially at night. A small creature with 3 legs and 1 eye walked beside them. His name was Jinbek, a native of Yuntal. He wore a long, brown robe and carried a stick made from the spine of a giant beetle. "Humans," Jinbek said in a slow voice. "The Garden of Rot is holy ground. The Fly Queen rules that area. You must not enter." Rill smiled. "We won't. Promise." But Rill was lying. He had seen something strange on the scanner earlier, strong crystal energy readings near the garden. If the signal was real, it could lead to a working crystal, and that could mean a successful mission. Credits, promotions, maybe even respect back on the human space station. As Mina and Jinbek set up the camp, Rill quietly grabbed his small scanner and slipped away through the trees. He walked carefully, brushing aside thick leaves, ducking under vines, and stepping over nests of insects that looked like walking walnuts. Soon the plants around him began to change. The trees grew twisted and black, with web-like moss hanging from their branches. The air grew even thicker, and the ground felt soft and warm. He reached a wide open space filled with low bushes and strange mounds. There was a deep, sickening smell here, like rotten eggs mixed with boiled fish. Rill covered his nose but kept walking. His scanner beeped loudly. The crystal energy was close. He stepped onto one of the mounds to get a better view, but as he climbed it, his foot sank deep, into something wet and sticky. He looked down and froze. The entire mound was made of green-brown slime. It bubbled slightly and flies buzzed around it in thick clouds. He was standing in a giant pile of dung. Before he could react, the slime shifted under him. He slipped, lost his balance, and tumbled down the side of the mound, rolling through the mess until he landed at the bottom, covered head to toe in alien waste. "Ugh!" he shouted, trying to stand up. "What is this stuff?" Just then, Mina's voice echoed from behind the trees. "Rill! What did you do now?" She stepped into the clearing and stared at him with wide eyes. "You smeared yourself in dung!" she shouted. "Idiot! That's not normal mud. That's Fly Queen's sacred dung." Rill blinked. "It's just poop, right?" Jinbek ran into the clearing, his face pale. He pointed at Rill and dropped to his knees. "No, you've touched the Queen's scent mark. Now she will know you. She will come." Mina grabbed Rill's arm and tried to wipe some of the goo off, but it was too thick. "I told you not to sneak off," she hissed. "You never listen." Rill was about to say something, but a low hum filled the air. It grew louder. Trees began to shake. The ground vibrated. "What is that?" Rill asked. Jinbek stood up slowly, his eyes wide with fear. "It is the hive. The Queen's children are coming." The sky darkened as clouds of flying insects rose over the trees. They were huge, each one the size of a football, with glassy wings and sharp legs. Their eyes glowed yellow, and they flew in perfect formation, circling the clearing. Mina pulled out her stun gun. "We need to run, now!" The bugs didn't attack right away. They hovered in a wide circle, buzzing in rhythm. One flew closer to Rill and stopped mid-air. It sniffed the air and made a sharp, clicking sound. Others followed. One landed gently on Ryl's shoulder, brushing its wings softly over the slime. They think I'm one of them, Rill said in shock. No, Jinbek said. They think you belong to the queen. The insect on Rill's shoulder clicked again, then flew upward. A loud buzz followed. The rest of the swarm rose into the air like a signal flare. They're calling her, Jinbek whispered. The Fly Queen is coming. Rill looked at Mina. This was a bad idea. Mina rolled her eyes. You think? The group turned and ran back toward the camp. Behind them, the sky was alive with wings. The queen of the hive had noticed them, and she wanted her new prize back. The jungle was alive with buzzing. Not the soft sound of small insects, but a deep, angry noise that felt like thunder wrapped in wings. Rill, still covered in sticky green-brown slime, ran behind Mina and Jinbek as fast as he could. His boots slipped on wet roots and thick leaves. He didn't dare stop. They're getting closer, Rill shouted. I know, Mina replied, not looking back. Her eyes scanned the thick trees, searching for a path that didn't lead into a swamp or a nest. Jinbek shouted over the sound of wings. If we reach the rock tunnel, we can hide. The bugs don't go underground. The forest grew darker. Large leaves hung low. Strange vines reached down like arms. Every sound of their boots, every breath, was drowned by the growing roar of insect wings. The hive was fully awake. Suddenly, a sharp shadow crossed over them. Something large passed in front of the sun. Is that the queen? Rill gasped. No, Jinbek said, shaking his head. Not yet. That is one of her guards. If the queen had come, the air would burn with her scent. Rill wiped slime from his face, trying not to gag. I think I've had enough of this scent. Business! Mina stopped suddenly and pulled them behind a large fallen tree. She pointed ahead. A group of insectoids, each standing taller than a human, crawled across the clearing. They had long wings folded on their backs and sharp legs that looked like swords. Their heads turned slowly, clicking as they sniffed the air. They're hunting, Mina whispered. They can smell Rill. I'll hide, Rill offered, crouching low. Mina pulled him down. With what? That slime is all over you. You smell like their favorite dessert. Treat, Jinbek corrected quietly. The queen calls anyone with the scent her treat. That's not comforting, Rill mumbled. The insects paused. One clicked loudly, then turned toward their direction. They found us, Mina shouted. Run! They dashed through the trees again. The hunters gave chase, clicking and hissing. One of them leapt into the air and landed ahead of the group, cutting off their path. Rill froze. The bug raised its leg, ready to strike. But then something strange happened. The insect paused. It tilted its head and lowered its sharp limb. It stepped closer to Rill and sniffed the slime. Then, to everyone's surprise, it backed away and bowed slightly before flying off into the trees. What just happened? Rill asked, breathing hard. Mina looked confused. I think it respected you. Jinbek nodded slowly. The scent on you. It carries the queen's choice. Some guards will not harm you. They think you are special. I don't feel special, Rill said. I feel like I rolled in trash. Mina pulled him forward. Come on, we need to reach that tunnel before the others find us. The jungle thinned, and the sound of water echoed nearby. A stream cut across the path. On the other side, dark rocks rose like broken teeth. A narrow crack ran through the middle, just big enough to slip through. That's it, Jinbek said. The tunnel! They crossed the stream quickly. Rill slipped and almost fell again, but Mina grabbed his arm and pulled him up. As they reached the entrance, Jinbek lit a small torch made from glowing moss. The light was soft and green, but enough to see the stone walls inside. They entered the tunnel. Cool air replaced the jungle heat. The buzzing outside faded slightly. We'll be safe here for a while, Jinbek said. They don't like dark places. Rill leaned against the wall, breathing hard. The slime on his body had dried in places, making his skin itch. I need a bath, You need your brain checked, Mina replied, tossing him a cloth. What were you even thinking walking into that place? I saw a crystal signal, Rill answered. I thought I could grab it before anyone noticed. Well, now the entire hive noticed, she said. And the queen thinks you're her next snack. Rill groaned. Why does this always happen to me? Mina didn't smile. Because you act before thinking. Jinbek knelt near the wall and pulled out a small map. We have another problem. This tunnel leads deep into the old hive nests. If the queen decides to come after you herself, no wall or tunnel will stop her. Rill's face went pale. You said she wouldn't come underground. She usually doesn't, Jinbek replied, unless she wants something badly. And I'm that something. Rill sighed. They moved deeper into the tunnel. Strange carvings lined the walls. Old hive symbols, insect drawings, and patterns that glowed faintly when touched. Rill brushed one with his hand. For a moment, he saw a flash of images in his mind. Giant wings, hundreds of eggs, and a throne. Made of golden shells. I think I just saw her, he whispered. Who? Mina asked. The queen, he said. She's calling me. Jinbek looked worried. The scent is inside you now. You are connected. She can find you no matter where we go. Rill backed away. No way. We have to stop it. Wash it. Off or something. But Jinbek shook his head. It is not on you. It is in you. Only the queen can remove the bond. Mina stared at Rill, her expression hard. You better find a way to unbond fast, because if she finds us, we won't have time to run. Rill looked down at his hands, still stained with the sacred dung. He had made a mistake, one that was bigger than he thought, and now something powerful and ancient was coming for him. Far above, in the heart of the jungle, the air began to shift. The queen of the hive had taken flight. Inside the narrow tunnel, the air grew colder. The stone walls were damp, and drops of water fell from the ceiling like slow, steady drips from a leaking pipe. Rill followed behind Mina and Jinbek, trying not to think about the insects chasing them above. The tunnel twisted and turned like the body of a snake. Strange symbols covered the walls, glowing softly as they passed. Sometimes they saw small bugs crawling between the cracks, but nothing big or dangerous. Yet. How far does this tunnel go? Rill asked, wiping sweat from his forehead. It leads to the old nest chambers, Jinbek said. They were sealed long ago after the first hive war. Mina glanced back. And why are we going toward the nest? Shouldn't we be heading the other way? Jinbek pointed at the walls. The deeper we go, the harder it is for the queen to sense him. These tunnels were built to protect the early ones from her mind's reach. Rill frowned. Her mind? Yes, Jinbek replied. The queen does not speak with words. She connects with thoughts. That is how she rules the hive. Rill groaned. Great! Now she's in my head. Mina stopped and pulled out her scanner. The screen blinked red. Something's wrong. What now? Rill asked. She showed the screen. There's movement above us. Big movement. Jinbek stepped closer. His face went pale. She has sent her wings, her strongest hunters. They must have tracked your scent. Outside the tunnel, far above the surface, the sky changed again. The clouds twisted into spirals. From the heart of the jungle, a giant figure rose. Wings like glass spread wide, catching the sun. The Fly Queen had not flown in years, but now she moved with hunger in her heart. She let out a screech that echoed across the land. Below her, thousands of winged insects took flight. Some were warriors, some were scouts, some carried weapons, made from bone and shell. But the queen sent her special group, the Wing Guard. They were not ordinary bugs. Their bodies were shaped like spears, their wings razor sharp. They did not speak. They did not sleep. They only followed the queen's will. And now that will was clear. Find the human. Bring him back. Alive. In the tunnel, the ground shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. A low humming filled the space. "They're above us," Mina said, readying her stun rifle. "We must go deeper," Jinbek said. "Follow me." They rushed through the tunnel. Ril's legs burned with every step, but he kept moving. He knew he had caused this, and now he had to survive it. The tunnel widened suddenly. They entered a large chamber filled with tall stone columns. On the walls were pictures of insect queens, old rulers with large wings and bright eyes. Jinbek looked around. "This is the Hall of Choice. In the past, queens would bring mates here to test them." Ril nearly tripped. "Mates? What kind of test?" Only the ones who passed would be accepted. The others vanished. Mina shook her head. "We're not staying here. There has to be another exit." Suddenly, the buzzing grew louder. The ceiling above cracked. A hole burst open, and 2 wing guard dropped into the chamber. They were huge, twice the size of a man. Their bodies shined like dark metal. Their wings cut through the air with a sharp zing. Their heads turned slowly until their glowing eyes locked on Ril. Mina fired first. Her stun bolt hit one in the chest. It screeched and backed away but didn't fall. The other dashed forward faster than expected. It swung its arm, knocking the weapon from her hands. Jinbek shouted, "Run to the side tunnel! I'll distract them!" Ril grabbed Mina and pulled her toward the left wall, where a narrow gap opened between 2 columns. They squeezed through just as one wing guard lunged. Its sharp leg slashed the stone where Ril had been a second before. Inside the side tunnel, it was even darker. Ril could hear his heartbeat pounding in his ears. "They're not stopping," he whispered. "No," Mina said. "They never stop." As they moved forward, Ril noticed something strange. The glow from the walls began to change. It pulsed gently, almost like it was breathing. "I think these walls are alive," he said. Jinbek caught up with them, breathing hard. "The queen's old chambers are below. The walls carry her memory. Her energy flows through them." Ril's head started to hurt. Images flashed in his mind. Hives burning, queens crying, giant wings folding in sadness. He saw himself standing on a throne made of shells. The bugs bowed around him. "She's calling again," he said softly. Mina turned to him. "Block it out." "I can't," he replied. "It's like she knows everything I think." Jinbek looked worried. "Then we must hurry. If she finds your thoughts, she will come herself." They reached the end of the tunnel. A heavy door blocked the way, carved with strange symbols. "It's locked," Mina said. "Can you open it?" Ril stepped forward. His hands shook as he touched the symbols. The moment his skin made contact, the door glowed. The lock clicked. The door opened slowly, revealing a deep staircase leading downward. "She opened it for you," Jinbek said. "She wants you to go inside." "I don't want to," Ril said. "You may not have a choice," Mina replied. Behind them, the buzzing started again. More wing guard were coming. Ril took a deep breath and stepped through the door. Ril stepped down the stone stairs with slow, careful steps. The light behind them faded as the heavy door closed by itself. Only a soft green glow came from strange moss on the walls. The deeper they went, the warmer the air became, and the scent of the hive grew stronger. It was a mix of sweet flowers and something earthy, like wet wood and smoke. Mina walked close behind him, her stun rifle ready. Jinbek followed, silent now, his eyes scanning the walls as if remembering old stories. The stairs led to a wide chamber. The ceiling was high, arched like a cathedral and covered in old web-like designs. At the center of the room stood a tall pillar surrounded by strange patterns on the floor. The walls pulsed with a gentle green light. Everything here looked ancient but alive. "What is this place?" Rill asked, his voice soft. Jinbek stepped forward and touched the pillar. "This is the heart room. The first queens used this place to test their bondmates. The queen has brought you here because she believes you are one of them." Rill shook his head. "I'm not a bondmate. I'm just a guy who slipped into her dung." Mina glanced at him. "Well, now you're stuck in her story." Suddenly, the pillar lit up, and lines of energy ran across the floor in all directions. A low hum began to rise. Rill froze. The sound wasn't just noise, it was a voice. Not in words, but in feelings. He felt warmth, curiosity, hunger, and something like love, mixed with ownership. The queen was watching, not with eyes, but with her mind. She could feel his presence. Rill backed away from the pillar. "She's here. I can feel her in my head." "She's speaking to you," Jinbek said. "She believes you are her chosen." "I'm not chosen," Rill replied. "I just want to leave." The pillar pulsed again. A door opened in the wall ahead, leading into a dark tunnel. The floor shimmered slightly as if covered in fine silk. The tunnel curved downward. "She's inviting you," Jinbek whispered. Mina raised her weapon. "If we go in there, we might not come back." Rill turned to her. "We have to go. If we keep running, she'll send more of those guards. If I go deeper, maybe I can make her stop." Mina looked at him for a moment, then nodded. "All right. But I'm coming with you." They entered the tunnel. The walls were smooth and seemed to glow on their own. The air was warm, almost too warm, and small insects crawled along the ceiling, watching silently. As they moved forward, Rill began to feel strange. His steps slowed, and his heart beat faster. The queen's presence was stronger now. Her thoughts brushed against his like a breeze. She wasn't angry. She was excited. "She thinks I'm hers," Rill said, his voice shaking. Mina looked around. "How do we stop that?" "I don't know," he whispered, "but I think she wants to test me." The tunnel led to a maze. The path split into several narrow passages, each marked by strange symbols. Some paths were lit, others dark. A humming sound came from deep within the walls. Jinbek stopped. "This is the maze of will. You must choose your path. Only one leads to her throne. The others lead to traps." Mina looked at Rill. "So how do we pick?" Rill touched one of the glowing symbols. His hand warmed. He closed his eyes and let the queen's presence fill his mind. "She's guiding me," he said. "I think this one." He pointed to a narrow tunnel on the left. They followed it, stepping over twisting roots and past walls that seemed to whisper. The deeper they went, the more the queen's voice grew clearer in Rill's mind. She showed him visions, fields of golden eggs flying over oceans, standing beside her in a shining hive. She wanted him to rule beside her, to join the hive and never leave, but Rill didn't want any of it. "This is wrong," he said, touching his head. "She's trying to make me feel like I belong here." "That's how hives work," Jinbek said. "They do not take by force, they bind by will." Suddenly, a loud clicking echoed behind them. Something was following. Mina turned. "Run!" They sprinted through the next passage, turning left and then right. The sound grew louder. Sharp legs on stone, wings brushing the walls. They burst into another chamber, smaller than the last, but filled with a soft green fog. At the center stood a wide pool of thick liquid. Above it, a shape hung from the ceiling, half insect, half throne. It moved slowly, breathing. "The queen sleeps here," Jinbek said quietly. Rill stepped forward. "I don't want to be her treat. I want her to leave me alone." As if hearing him, the shape above stirred. The queen's giant eyes opened, glowing faint yellow. Her wings unfolded with a long whispering sound. She didn't attack. She didn't roar. She simply looked at him and smiled. In Real's mind, she spoke. "You wear my mark. You passed the first maze. Come closer." Real stood frozen. Mina stepped forward, holding her weapon. "He's not yours. He's human. Let him go." The queen tilted her head. Her wings beat once, gently, sending a rush of air through the chamber. The fog shifted, showing old images on the walls. Other creatures, long gone, kneeling before her. "You are not like them," Rill said softly. "I don't belong here." But the queen's presence grew warmer, almost loving. In her mind, she saw Rill as special, not just a meal, not just a visitor, but something unique. She didn't want to hurt him. She wanted to keep him. "Run!" Jinbek shouted. The queen screeched. Her wings slammed downward, sending a wave of air through the room. The walls cracked. The ground shook. They turned and fled. The queen didn't chase. But her message was clear. She would wait, and she would not forget. The chamber shook as Rill, Mina, and Jinbek ran back through the hive tunnels. The queen's scream still echoed in their ears. Her wings had moved only once, but the power in that one flap had cracked walls and shaken the floor. She had not followed them, but Rill could feel her presence behind his eyes like a shadow that would not leave. "She let us go," Rill said, panting. "Why?" "Because she's not finished with you," Jinbek answered. "She wants you to come back, on your own." They reached a quiet part of the hive maze. The walls were dry and old, with broken carvings and soft dust covering the floor. Mina checked her weapon. It had only one shot left. "She's testing you," she said to Rill. "She wants to see how far you'll go." "I'm not going anywhere," Rill replied, but even he didn't believe his own words. They found a small resting chamber with a stone bench and warm air flowing from cracks in the wall. Rill sat down heavily, holding his head. "She spoke to me again," he said softly. "She showed me her world. The eggs, the hive, the sky filled with wings. She doesn't want to harm me. She wants me to stay here. Forever." "Sounds like a trap with a smile," Mina said, sitting beside him. Jinbek stood near the door, silent. Then he spoke. "The queen is very old. She has ruled for many generations, but she has never chosen an outsider before. That makes you dangerous. And special." Rill looked up. "What does she want from me?" "She wants to make you her consort," Jinbek said. "Her chosen one. Her equal." Mina stood up quickly. "No, we're not letting that happen. That's not who he is." "She doesn't care who he was," Jinbek replied. "Only who he can be." Just then, the walls lit up with a soft red glow. A sound like deep drums began to echo through the tunnel. Jinbek gasped. "The queen is opening the throne of wings. That hasn't been done in 100 years. "What is that?" Rill asked. "It is where she brings those she wishes to keep. Only the strongest, the most loyal, or the most bonded are invited." "And what happens there?" Mina asked. Jinbek didn't answer. He only said, "If you go, you return changed. Or not at all." The red glow pulsed again. A small section of the wall opened slowly, revealing a smooth tunnel filled with warm air and golden light. "She is calling him," Jinbek said. "The final test begins now." Mina looked at Rill. "You don't have to go." Rill stood slowly. "If I don't, she'll never stop chasing us. She'll keep sending her guards. She'll never let me go." Mina's voice was firm. "Then, we go with you." Jinbek held up a hand. "Only he can enter the throne of wings. The queen's law." Rill looked at them both. "If I don't come back?" "Don't say that," Mina cut in. "You will come back." Rill nodded once, then turned and walked into the golden tunnel. The tunnel was smooth, glowing, and completely silent. As he walked, He felt pressure in his head, thoughts that were not his. Feelings, memories, and visions flowed into him like water. He saw the queen's birth, her rise to power, her loneliness, and her long wait for someone who would understand her. At the end of the tunnel was a wide open hall shaped like a hive's core. The floor was made of polished shell. The walls rose high and curved inward, filled with glowing amber. In the center stood a raised throne made of wings, bones, and shining stones, and on the throne sat the queen. She was even larger now, her wings unfolded fully, glowing faintly. Her eyes watched him not with hunger, but with calm and interest. "You came," she said into his mind. "I didn't have a choice," Rill replied. "You always had a choice," she said gently, "and you chose me." He shook his head. "No, I chose to end this." She stood. Her steps were light, graceful. She circled around him, studying him closely. "You are not like others," she said. "You did not kneel, you did not run far, you carry my scent, and now, my mind." Rill stayed. Still. "What do you want?" The queen pointed to the throne. "Sit beside me, rule beside me, join the hive." Rill looked at the throne, then back at her. "And if I say no?" Her wings lowered slightly. "Then you may leave. But the mark will remain. My children will never forget. You will never truly be free." Rill stepped forward slowly. The queen watched closely. He walked to the throne, then turned. "I'm not yours. I'm human. I belong to no hive." She stared at him for a long time. Then she smiled. Not with anger, but with something that looked like respect. "Then you must prove it. One final test." A section of the floor opened, and a large creature rose from below. It looked like a giant beetle with red armor and spinning horns. It roared once, shaking the whole hall. "Tame the wind beetle," the queen said, "or be forgotten." Rill's heart pounded. He had no weapon, no plan, just instinct. The beetle charged. Rill dodged left, grabbed a loose strand of hive silk, and ran in circles. The beetle followed, slipping slightly on the smooth floor. Then Rill remembered the slime, the scent of the queen. He still carried it. He held up his arm and shouted. The beetle stopped. Its antennas twitched. It lowered its head. Rill stepped. Closer, placing a hand on its nose. It didn't move. It accepted him. The queen's wings lifted again, glowing brighter. "You have passed." Back in the waiting chamber, the tunnel opened again. Rill stepped out, alive and whole. Mina ran too. "Him, what happened?" she asked. "She let me go," Rill said. "But the scent, the bond, it's still inside." Mina didn't speak for a moment, then nodded. "Then we make sure it never controls you." As they left the hive maze together, the queen sat quietly, on her throne, watching through the walls. She had not lost her treat. She had set him free. For now. The forest outside the hive was silent as Rill, Mina, and Jinbek walked through the thick trees. Sunlight cut through the tall leaves above, and for a short time the jungle felt peaceful again. But the peace didn't last long. "We're not done," Mina said, scanning the sky. "No," Rill agreed, wiping sweat from his face. "She let me go, but I still feel her. It's like her thoughts are waiting." Jinbek nodded. "That is the queen's bond. You passed the throne test, but the mark remains. Now come the real trials." Rill frowned. "Real trials? I thought taming that wind beetle was the final one." "No," Jinbek said. "That was only the queen's personal challenge. Now the hive itself will test you." Mina groaned. "Great. What next? Fire pits? Insect wrestling?" "Worse," Jinbek said. "They are tests of body, mind, and choice. All chosen ones face them before they are fully released." Rill looked tired but determined. Then let's get it over with. They reached an open field filled with red sand and flat stones. Strange towers made of hardened slime rose from the ground. In the center was a tall green pod standing upright. As they stepped near, the pod opened like a flower, and inside stood a figure made of shell and light. It was not the queen. It was something older, a hive memory given shape. "You carry the queen's mark," the figure said in a soft, echoing voice. "You may not return to your world until you pass the trials of the hive." "I'm ready," Rill replied. 3 trials await. Step forward." Trial 1. The bridge of threads Rill was led to a long bridge made of silk threads. It hung high, above a pit filled with black crawling insects. The threads moved with the wind, thin and slippery. "You must cross without falling," the figure said. "Only your balance will save you." Rill looked at the bridge, then down. The bugs below had sharp legs and shining eyes. "No pressure," he whispered. He took his first step. The thread wobbled. He stretched out his arms and slowly moved forward. 1 step, 2 steps, the bridge swayed, his foot slipped once, but he caught himself. "Don't look down," he told himself. Halfway across, a gust of wind hit. Rill dropped to his knees and hugged the thread. The bugs below hissed. "You're not food," he told them. He crawled slowly, using elbows and knees. At the last stretch, he stood again and ran the final steps. He reached the other side, breathing hard. "You have passed the first trial," the figure said. "You may rest briefly." Trial 2. The Nectar of Fire. The second trial took place inside a round stone chamber. A golden cup sat on a small table. Inside was glowing nectar, bubbling like hot lava. "You must drink without fear," the figure said. "The body must survive. The mind must remain clear." Rill held the cup. Heat rose from it. He looked at Mina once. She gave him a short nod. He took a deep breath and drank. The liquid burned his throat. His chest felt like it was on fire. His legs went weak. His vision blurred. "Stay awake," he told himself. "Stay strong." Images rushed into his mind. Swarming insects, wings flapping, the queen whispering his name. He clenched his fists. "You are not my queen," he said aloud. "I choose my own path." Suddenly, the heat faded. His vision cleared. The burning stopped. "You have passed the second trial," the voice said. Trial 3. The Mirror of Choice. The final trial was inside a dark cave. A mirror stood at the center, but this was no normal mirror. When Rill looked into it, he didn't see himself. He saw 2 different futures. On one side, he stood beside the queen, ruling the hive, dressed in gold armor. The insects bowed to him. He looked powerful, but no longer human. On the other side, he saw himself back on Earth. He was sitting alone in a small room, older, forgotten, just a regular engineer. The voice echoed in the cave. "One path brings power, the other brings freedom. You must choose." Rill stared at both reflections. His hand moved toward the queen's path. He saw himself strong, never afraid again. But then he looked again. His eyes in the mirror were cold. The insects obeyed him, but no one loved him. No one knew him. He turned toward the second image, the lonely room. It wasn't grand, but it was real. It was him. He spoke clearly. "I choose freedom." The mirror cracked. The cave shook. A light burst out, and the 2 paths vanished. "You have passed the final trial," the voice said. "You may now return to your world." Rill stepped out of the cave, pale but standing tall. Mina and Jinbek waited nearby. "Did you win?" Mina asked. Rill smiled weakly. "I didn't win. I chose." Jinbek bowed. "Then the queen's bond is fading. She knows your choice." As they made their way back to the ship, Rill looked up at the sky. The buzzing had stopped. No insects followed. The jungle was still. I think she understands now, Rill said. Will she come after you again? Mina asked. I don't know, he replied. But I think she respects me now. Not as a treat, as a mind she couldn't control. Mina smiled. That's a very real way to survive. He laughed softly. Yeah, by being a complete mess first. They climbed into the ship. As it rose into the sky, Rill looked down one last time. In the distance, the queen stood on a tall branch, wings folded, watching. She didn't speak. She just let him go. The ship flew above the trees of Yuntal. Thick green leaves swayed below, and strange birds cried out in the distance. Rill sat in the pilot's seat, quiet, his hand resting on the controls. Mina sat beside him, arms crossed, watching his face carefully. You don't look happy, she said. I am, Rill replied. Just thinking. Still hearing buzzing in your head? No, Rill smiled slightly. It's quiet now, but I feel like we forgot something. Behind them, Jinbek stood near the door, looking at the fading jungle. You did not forget. The queen let you go, yes. But she did not forget you. She never forgets her marked ones. Rill sighed. Of course not. The ship shook gently as it passed through a warm cloud. Mina stood up and checked the scanners. Her eyes narrowed. We're not alone, she said. Something's coming. Rill turned to the screen. A small shape followed them from below, fast, insect-shaped with long wings and glowing eyes. It's one of the hive flyers, Jinbek said calmly. A royal messenger. The creature caught up quickly. It didn't attack. It only hovered. Beside the ship, wings humming like a soft drumbeat. Then, without warning, it released a small glowing pod that floated toward the window. Rill opened the hatch and caught it. Inside was a crystal. Mina stepped closer. What is it? Rill turned the crystal in his hand. It pulsed with light. A message, he guessed. From her. He placed the crystal into the ship's console. A hologram blinked to life. It showed the Fly Queen standing on her throne, Branch. Her voice came through in a strange, clicking rhythm, but the ship's translator turned it into human speech. You passed the trials. You refused my bond. But the hive does not see you as enemy. Rill leaned closer. A great threat is coming, the queen continued. From beyond the black clouds, something worse than the humans or the hive. If you return to your world and ignore this message, your kind will fall. Mina looked at Rill. She's warning us? Jinbek bowed slightly. She gives respect. And now, a gift. The queen's image raised one long arm. A pattern flashed in the air. Coordinates. Then the image faded. Later, the ship floated above a deep mountain on Yuntal's far side. Rill and Mina stepped out onto rocky ground. The air was cooler here. In front of them was a strange machine buried in the cliff wall, half metal, half grown from stone. Rill touched the machine. Lights flickered on. A panel opened, showing a small orb inside. This is a power source, Rill whispered. Old tech. Maybe older than both our species. Left behind, Jinbek said. The queen kept it hidden. Now it is yours. Why? Mina asked. Because she knows, Jinbek replied, that the hive alone cannot stop what comes next. Rill held the orb. Then we take it back, study it, prepare. As they flew back into orbit, the stars came into view. The ship passed Yuntal's moons and left the planet's pull. Rill leaned back, the crystal orb secured beside him. You think Earth will listen? Mina asked. They have to, Rill said. This isn't just about us anymore. But what if they don't? She pressed. Rill smiled. Then we make them. That's the human way, right? Mina grinned. You mean mess everything up first, then fix it? Rill laughed. Exactly. Back on Earth, A crowd gathered in a sleek research hall as Reel and Mina stood beside the strange alien orb. Military leaders, scientists, and explorers leaned forward, listening. "You were supposed to bring back samples," a general said. "Not a message from a giant bug," Mina narrowed her eyes. "That bug could have eaten us alive. Instead, she warned us. Take that seriously." A quiet man in a white coat stepped closer. "If the hive queen fears this new threat, then it must be strong." Rill nodded. "It's not just coming for us. It's coming for everything. This orb has coordinates, and I think it leads to the next clue." The room fell silent. 2 weeks later, a new ship was prepared. Stronger, faster, built with both human and hive tech. The crystal orb powered its core. Rill stood on the loading ramp, checking the systems one last time. Mina came beside him, handing him a pack. "You sure about this?" she asked. "No," he said honestly. "But I think we're the only ones who've earned the hive's trust. That means something." Jinbek joined them, carrying his small translator pod. "I will guide you," he said. "The next world is not far, but danger lives there." Rill smiled. "We've been in danger since I stepped in that dung." Mina rolled her eyes. "Still not funny." The ship rose into the air, slow and steady. Below, the humans watched in silence. No one laughed. No one doubted anymore. Above them, the stars waited. As the ship reached the edge of the solar system, Rill leaned over the console. "We're out of range," Mina said. "Good," Rill replied. "I didn't want Earth to hear me scream if we crash," she smirked. "You think the Queen will be watching?" "Probably," he said. "Somewhere out there, she's smiling with all her teeth." Mina paused. "You think she'll try to claim you again?" Rill laughed. "Let her try, but next time I'm wearing better shoes."